Are you feeling ugly? Well, this is something that many people may go through. They may feel that visually they are not appealing enough, that they are not interesting enough, they are not attractive enough, or not good enough for whatever purpose. When it comes to speech, most language have, well, at least as of what I know from Europe, probably other languages outside of Europe, have a feature or let's say an aspect which is called comparison. So you have a standard comparison, which is technically the adjective itself. Then you have a level, the first level of comparison, which is more or less. And then you have the superlative, right? The second level, which is the absolute. So you have a word like, for example, beautiful or ugly. Then you have something which is the first form, right? Let's say the proper comparison, which is more beautiful or less beautiful or uglier or less ugly, and well, the absolute, right? Superlative, the most. When it comes to these are proper comparisons, but even the adjective itself, if we are to dive deeper, the adjective itself is also a comparison. Because if you call someone beautiful, well, it's not in the comparative form, right? When you say they are more beautiful than someone else. But beautiful, just like all other adjectives, they are comparisons well on their own. They are well on their own comparisons. How could that be? Well, very simple. Because everything that comes through the prism of this physical body comes, well, through either liking it or disliking it. First of all, when you encounter an idea, a thought, something, well, you have to accept it because you can't speak about something that you haven't encountered yet, so therefore it is not in your awareness. And something is in your awareness when you consciously or unconsciously accept it. Now, if we are to think even further into this, well, the point is, all these adjectives, they are comparisons on their own. Because you can only like or dislike something based on something, right? Based on a certain premise, which I call the foundation, right? In order for you to classify something as beautiful, you have a subconscious reference, right? Because beauty is something that differs. Beauty is always subjective, right? People who know how to live beyond meaning, they're not bound by meaning. So therefore, beauty and ugliness, these don't exist to them because they've learned how to simply live with everything around, irrespective of how, you know, hideous they might look to other people, right? So beauty in itself is a comparison because you need a subconscious foundation at least. So this foundation exists within you. You may not be aware of that, but when you like something, it's all about, does it make you feel pleasant or not? This is one of the basic foundations. But when you are, for example, into arts or more specialized thing, right? There is something that you hold, at least as a subconscious foundation. If it is below those, usually their expectations, and it's an emotional expectation almost all the time. If it is beyond that, well, you like it. If it is below that, you don't like it. If you like it, you call it beautiful. If you don't like it, you call it ugly. But it's still a comparison because you compare it most likely not with something physical, yes, but it is still a comparison. If you are alone in a room and you're thinking about someone and you're calling yourself uglier or more beautiful than that person, you should technically be a dum-dum. That person doesn't exist with you in that room. So from the purpose of these senses that we have for our physical body, you cannot perceive that person. So technically, why are you comparing you who you are with a person that doesn't exist? Temporarily, right? They are alive, yes, but they live in another room. So when you're alone and you're thinking about someone else and comparing yourself to that other person, they are not there. If you are alone in a room, you're technically nothing because there is no comparison for you. See, comparison only exists when there are at least two things. Because something is bigger or big, but something is big because there is something which is smaller, right? If in a universe there would have been only one single particle, right, you couldn't say anything about it, because the universe in itself doesn't have a shape or, something predetermined, or at least we don't know it, but for our current situation, right? So if that only single particle existed, well, that's technically a no adjective universe, because something can be big when there is something else that is smaller. Something can be small when there is something which is bigger. So you can only be ugly when there is someone who is more beautiful. But beauty and ugliness, again, they are subjective, right? So don't let yourself be liable to other people's biases. If people are simply biased, they don't like certain things, right? They feel pissed all the time or frustrated. They will always have bad influences upon you or everyone around or everything around, right? They will always have bad quotes and, negative quotes about everything and everyone, right? You just happen to be around, so they called you the first adjective that, they could spill out their mouth. So if you are alone, there is technically no adjective for you. I mean, can you compare yourself that your skin is lighter or darker in tone than any of the objects in the room? I mean, sure, yes, but what's the point, right? Comparison is something that should also have a very great foundation, right? Like if someone is uglier than someone else, okay, so what? What's the point? After all, it's nothing else than, subjectivity. If you say someone else is taller than someone else, well, that again is subjectivity, because everyone's height serves them in their own way. A physical body who is born, well, is born because of the intelligence of the universe and was given a lot of strengths and weaknesses. It doesn't matter. Height is just one of the features and can be used in whatever ways. So if you think that you are ugly or something else, this is not healthy, because you're submitting yourself to a lot of torture, to a lot of tormenting. After all, what you're interested in is building a better relationship with who you are. You are who you are. You see? The point is, all of these adjectives, they are nothing else than, personal subjectivity, right? They belong to people. They are their opinion of you or something else. Because you say a tree is green. Well, it is green, but at the same time it is not green. Because as light goes, right, you see a certain color because that color bounces off of objects. So the leaves, they absorb all the colors of the spectrum, right, of the rainbow spectrum that we say, right, except green. Green comes to our eyes and we see the leaves as green, but it's green because those leaves don't like a green color, right? That is the point why things are green. They are so because they are not so, right? So if you are technically being called ugly, well, a part of you may actually remind people, right? That's, I don't know, if words would be just like light, well, technically everything would be more or less energy in this life. So when you vibrate, right, you put out energy, because our life is slowly burning down. You put out energy at all the times, right? Subconsciously, other people might feel your energy. They will always, but they might become a bit aware of those energies that you put out. Everyone does so. Even passively, you just need to stay there. You just need to sit there. And people will simply hate you. Because people will hate your calmness, especially because many people are trapped in the mind. So with this in mind, the point is, you're technically putting away things that will probably remind people of unpleasant things about them or unpleasant things that happened to them in, previous moments of their life. So when this happens, it's just like the reflection of the light, right? They may call you ugly because most likely you're not. But they can't call you beautiful because their vibration, their state of mind is so negative, They can't call you anything better. So, point be said, don't take into account other people's meaning that much. It is just meaning. Meaning is just created. You don't have to suffer by it. Meaning is a tool. You use it for good, you use it for bad, or you don't use it at all. When anything happens in life, there is always a choice. You either become wiser or you become hurt. If you already became hurt, well, there is another choice. Again, you either become wiser and transcend the pain, or you choose to keep the pain and you keep suffering. That is why comparison only happens when there are at least two people. If other people call you ugly, well, that is their point, right? If someone does something more than one generally should, that's what I call their business, right? Because a business means handling something for a long period of time in a day, right? A company, right, deals with shifts. In a shift, people work towards something, right? That's their business. They have to handle something. When people are negative and toxic, many people do that because that's the best that they can. So their toxicity is technically their business. The point is, it only becomes your problem when you accept it, when you accept the meaning of that. Because people will always speak things and they will show you things and the such. That's just light coming to your eyes. And that's sounds coming to your ears. The meaning is all in your head. You can understand some of those things, if not all of those things, because we speak common languages, right? Through our bodies and through our mouths, right? Through our emotions. And the point is, once you understand those things, well, the point is, okay, you have reached the level of understanding. Now you have to reach the next level, detachment from understanding. Because people suffer from attachment to understanding, not because the meaning, right? People are attached to the meaning. That's why they suffer. Because once people know what ugliness would mean, they don't know exactly what ugliness would mean in their life. It's just that they associate ugliness with being, thrown away, right? Abandoned. And abandonment in families is also something that takes a great part in this. So when someone calls them ugly, that fear of being abandoned kicks in. So people suffer because of attachment towards meaning, not because of random things that people tell to them. Hopefully this video was introspective enough. You're appreciated. Take care. Ferenc Power signing out.